Hello, anybody there? Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Hello to anyone who is tuning in today. I'm glad that we're going live again today to have another great time of study, to have another great time of digging into some applicable principles and some simple practical steps that help us to do what bloom and flourish in our everyday lives. And we understand that in order for us to bloom and flourish in our everyday lives, we have to know what our purpose is. We have to find our calling and we have to pursue it with what more clarity and with balance. That is what's going to help us find fulfillment. That's what's going to help us, be able to bloom and flourish in our everyday life. So I'm excited that we are here again today to look at the topic of 5 ways to overcome distractions and to stay focused. 5 ways that we can overcome distraction and stay focused. Before we get on, I just want somebody in the chat to let me know if you can hear me clearly. Sometimes you're on and I see Jasmine on. Good morning, Jasmine. Can you hear me clearly? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Hello, hello. I see you all coming in. Welcome in. Welcome, Kina Freak. Welcome. Hello, welcome in. Welcome, man of God. His word, welcome in. Hello, Shanta. I'm here to be blessed. Amen. We're all going to be blessed here today. I'm glad that you guys can hear me and you're all coming in. I believe we're going to have a great time here today because honestly, we live in a day and time that we are experiencing a lot of distraction. It doesn't matter who. Even while preparing for this week, for this talk, this discussion we're going to be having here today, I experienced a lot of distraction. Okay, he says, and I can hear you clearly. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I always want to make sure because I hear myself because I'm right here with me, right? But you guys may be out there and you can't hear me and you can't see me. So great. Yeah, so like I was saying, we are living in a time where there is just a lot of distraction going on, and it's very easy for us to lose focus of what we are really here for. But before we get into that, I always like to define terms so that we are sure we understand what we are here for. I'm sorry, people. Forgot to turn my phone off. Yeah, so let's look at what is focus. I said that we're trying to overcome distraction so that we can stay focused. What is focus? The simplest, I always like to pick simple definitions that will just give us some keywords, right? It is a center of activity, a center of attraction, or a center of attention. Something that you are paying attention to. That is focus. But then what is distraction? It is the thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something, right? So if focus is center of a certain center of attention, and distraction is the thing that prevents you from giving full attention to that something, then it means you see that they go together. With distraction you cannot be focused, but when there is no distraction, you can stay focused. But now we live in a fallen world that we cannot eliminate distraction. So instead of trying every day to eliminate the distractions in our lives, yes, you can minimize or you can control not putting yourself in a place where you're going to be distracted, but we cannot eliminate distraction in this world. And so what we can do is that we can come up with ways that we can ensure that we are not distracted by those things that are constantly trying to pull our attention, prevent us from paying attention to that something that is supposed to be a center of activity for us, or a center of attraction for us, or a center of attention for us. So we can only look for those ways, and that is why we are here today. I see Virtual Church TV, welcome in. Welcome in. Hello, God bless you. God bless you. Welcome in. So that's why we are here today. And if you're just coming in, we are looking at the 5 ways to overcome distraction and to stay focused so that we can run this race to the end. I don't know what your plans for this year is. We want to overcome distraction and stay focused so that we are able to level up this year, so that you're able to accomplish your goals for this year. What are some great goals that you have for this year that is your desire to accomplish? Please, you can also share that with me in the comment section below. What are some of those great things that you're looking forward to this year? And many times when we talk about goals, people get so intimidated and frightened, like, oh my goodness, they're asking about goals. I don't know. It can be a simple things. Remember, I shared with you guys in my last video that in the area of health, one of the things that is key for me this year is to ensure that I get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep every day, because I know that when I wake up in the morning, a well rested mom, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I work better, I'll think better, I'm able to, so it has so much that is it's one goal that if I hit, it helps me to hit other goals. So when we talk about goals, we should not feel that, it is something that has to be mind blowing, and that's why some people don't set goals, because they're still thinking like, what goal should I set? uh Jasmine says to have a closer relationship with the Lord. This is one of my goals for 2022. Great goal, sis. Great goal, sis, because that is what we need. The closer you are with the Creator, the closer you are with the one who brought you here on earth, the closer you are with the one who has given you the assignment. That is the greatest mentor, the greatest coach that we have, right? So that is the greatest things that we can have a goal for. I think it should be the goal of everybody to have a closer relationship with God. Rachel Church says one of my goals is to do a book launch for my upcoming book entitled Five Benefits of Worship. Woo! Looking forward to that book, Pastor. Book launch that's coming up. Great, you see. So that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen, and that's why you want to stay focused. You don't want to be distracted. And I want to believe that you must have really had to overcome some distractions to be able to come to the place where you're done with it and you're actually just looking up forward to launching that book. Okay, that was some good sharing right there. So again, like I've said, we may be asking ourselves, why should I really, really take this issue of keeping away from distraction very seriously? Why should I want to stay focused? What is the problem if I get a little bit distracted here and there every now and then? It's a serious thing, because being distracted, you are not going to pay attention to why you are here on earth for. Let me read for us Acts chapter 20, verse 24. Acts 20:24, which is something I would really encourage us, that you can even write it down somewhere and personalize it and hang it up somewhere and see it every day. Or when you're faced with distractions, you put it up and you look at it. Acts 20, 24, Paul says that, but my life is worth nothing to me unless I use it for finishing the work assigned me by the Lord Jesus, the work of telling others the good news about the wonderful grace of God. He said, my life is worth nothing unless I use it to finish the work assigned to me by the Lord. What work has been assigned to you by the Lord? That's a question that I want all of us to answer. What work has been assigned to me by the Lord? I'm making sure that I want to finish that work. And he went ahead to define what his own work is. He said, assigned to me by the Lord, the work of telling others the good news about the wonderful grace of God. That was the work that was given to him. And he says his life is worth nothing unless he does it. Maybe for you, your life is worth nothing unless you begin to tell people about the grace of God through that business, through the talents that he has put inside of you, through whatever thing that you're pursuing in life. Your life is worth nothing. You can tell that without that thing, you feel lost, you feel stuck. You have to find that thing that you feel like, my life is worth nothing if I do not finish this assignment, if I do not do this thing. And that is why I'm excited for this channel this year, and ongoing, that everything that I'm going to be bringing up for us and sharing and using my own stories and the stories of great stories around me is to help us answer that question of, what is that great work that has been given to me? Coming to that place where you feel like, my life is worth nothing. Coming to that place where you find your calling and understand that your calling is not negotiable. Understanding that is not an option. Many people easily get distracted because to them, this thing is just maybe like a hobby, right? Let me just try it. If it works, it works. Let me get on YouTube. If I go viral, then I'll continue. If I get a number of followers and subscribers, I'll continue. Let me just start this cake business. If people start to buy, then I can make the business bigger. Or let me just start to supply this little food here and there. If people show interest, then I can start that restaurant. It should not be a hobby. It should come to that place where you feel like my life is worth nothing if I do not finish this work, if I do not use this talent that God has given me. We want to know how to stay away from distraction and stay focused so that we can be able to say, like Paul, at the end, that I have finished the fight, I fought the fight, I finished the race. You want to be able to talk like Jesus, that it is finished. He was up there, people were crying and everything, but he knew why he came, and he said it was finished. I also love this quote by Emma Bombeck. Many people always associate it with Chad and the late Chadwick Boseman because he's the one who kind of made that quote popular. But it's by Emma Bombeck. She said, I want that, I think I wrote it, let me see. So when I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would have not a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me. I don't know about you, but that is something that I myself would want to be able to say. I want to be able to stand before God and there is nothing left, that I used everything. Right? Welcome. Welcome, Sister Chosen by Grace. I see you. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Thank you for being here today. So we want to be able to come before God and say, it is finished, or I ran the race, or I used everything that you gave me. I think that at this point, our prayer should not really be like, I want to live so long on earth, but it should be that I want to do a work that outlives me. That even after I'm gone, that work continues. I want to live a life that I finish my work. Jesus didn't live until he was 100 and something years old. He knew what he came to do. He paid attention. He did that which he was supposed to do, and then he left. Paul came to a point where he knew that he had finished the work. He said, I've run the race, I've finished the work. You see a lot of other people in the Old Testament who knew that they were going to just leave. They were ready to throw that mantle to somebody and go because they knew they had finished the work. So I'm really just encouraging us with this before we dig into the life of Nehemiah, because sometimes we take this issue of being distracted for granted. A lot of us have been delayed into getting um full fully into our calling and living a purposeful life, because all this while we have been distracted by other things. When I look in my life, I see times that I've been distracted by other things. And remember, distractions are not always very, very bad things. When we talk about distraction, everybody thinks about social media. Trust me, not everybody is addicted to social media. Not everybody is addicted to the phone. There are times that I can go a whole day doing my stuff. I have no idea where my phone is. But there are a million other things that distract me. There are a million other things that distract others. So we can think that, I don't want to talk about distraction, but it is something we should really, really look at it, because it holds us back from identifying, discovering our calling. And even when we have found it, it can hold you back from embracing it, from pursuing it. And you will not be able to come to that place where, again, like I said, you can say like Jesus, it is finished. That is where we really want to, find ourselves. And so that's why I felt the need that, if early on in the year, if we're going to be talking about purpose, if we're going to be discovering some new things, we should be able to, you know, talk about distractions, because that's what is going to kind of hold us back. That's what will hold us back. And again, like I said, distractions may not necessarily be very bad things. It may just be that you're not focusing on the right things in your life, or you're not focusing on the right things in that season. You are paying attention and giving so much time to things that do not really matter at that time. You are probably majoring in minor things. And when you are not distracted, then you are able to clearly see what is a major and you give major attention. You're able to see what is a minor and you give it minor attention. Now, let us dig into Nehemiah before we get into these great 5 lessons that we can learn from the life of Nehemiah. From time to time, you see me looking down because I want to kind of stick to my notes so that I don't rumble and keep us far long, into the life today. So a little back for us to understand who Nehemiah was. Nehemiah was he was serving in the Persian royal court as a cupbearer. You know who a cupbearer is like. If they brought a drink, a food to the king, he had to taste it first before the king can have it. And I think that alone should tell you about who he was. That should tell you that he was surely a man of integrity. He was somebody of character to be able to have that kind of a position. And so he was serving there, but he was a Jew. And then he gets the news from one of his brothers. He's asking, okay, how are my Jewish brothers doing in Jerusalem? This was after the Babylonian exile. So he's saying that, how are they doing? So he said, no, they're troubled. They're troubled because they feel like their security is threatened. The walls have been burned down. There's so much going on that is burdening them. And if we look, it tells us, I'm going to read that part for us a little bit because I want us to really understand, you know, I want us to understand and be able to hear with our ears the passion that Nehemiah had about the work that had been given him. All right, let me read chapter 1, 2 to 4. If you look at Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 2 to 4, it says, sorry, Hanani, one of my brothers, came to visit me with some other men who had just arrived from Judah. I asked them about the Jews who had returned there from captivity and about how things were going in Jerusalem. They said to me, things are not going well for those who returned to the province of Judah. They are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem has been torn down and the gates have been destroyed by fire. Now, listen to verse 4. When I heard this, I sat down and wept. In fact, for days I mourned, fasted, and prayed to God of heaven and I pray to the God of heaven. Now, you if you read the whole of Nehemiah, all the 13 chapters, you see that Nehemiah is speaking in first person because this is like a memoir. This is like what we call today his journal of how he was writing down the things that he was doing or that was happening around him. So when they told him it was what he was troubled, it says that I sat down and I wept for days. I mourned and I fasted. This was the call. If you've been watching my channel, you would remember that 2 weeks ago I shared about answering that question of, is is this my calling? Is my calling from God? And I said that if you have a God-led heart, he will direct your passion, your interest, your desires towards the thing, that assignment he wants to give you. And you see that that's what's happening to Nehemiah right here. Nehemiah is burdened. Nehemiah is vexed. Nehemiah is troubled, and he goes to God in prayers about it. So we talked about seeking God. We talked about your desires drawing in a direction, and you have to seek God to get more clarity about it. So Nehemiah did exactly that, and he was able to identify what his calling was. He knew that his heart was drawn towards going to rescue these people, restore. So in a nutshell, you can say that Nehemiah's calling was to go secure, restore the security of the Jews, and to give them a hope again, and to return, help them to return to God, because at this time they themselves had also started turning their backs away from God. So Nehemiah had to go do this. And how did he do it? He had to go do it by rebuilding the walls. The walls of a city was a big thing. That's why you even hear about the walls of Jericho. When you were conquering a place, you bring down their walls. So a wall was a big thing. It was a sign of security. So Nehemiah know that what I have an assignment, but then I have a vision of how I'm going to carry it out. I have to go rebuild the walls. They also had some things that were troubling them within. They had some issues with the Persian government, so he had to also deal with some of those things, and even some disputes that they had among themselves. He had to do that, then bring their focus back to God, because of what use is it if we build up physical things and then our soul perishes. So when you look at this vision, you can see God's picture of what a vision should be about. It is from God. It is for his glory. Because remember, he cried to God and said, your people are being disgraced when they don't have any walls. So raising it up was going to bring glory and honor to God. And again, it does not mean that because it brings glory to God, it will not also be for your good. It was for their good. Because then they themselves had fulfillment. They had hope. They had other things inside of it. So the call of God is for his glory, is for your good. And to see your desires go towards the things that God wants you to do. You seek him, and he gives you even more and more clarity. So if you look at the Nehemiah's call, it gives you a picture, a shadow of how even your own calling should be like. Your desires will go towards them. You will seek God, and he will tell you exactly what to do. And that is your purpose. Then you have a vision for how you're going to accomplish that thing. How am I going to restore that security, that sense of security? How am I going to bring them back to God? How am I going to give them a hope and a future again? So ask those questions to yourself. concerning the things that your heart is being drawn to. How am I going to serve people through the talents? How am I going to serve people through this thing, that this burden that is in my heart? Whenever it is about the people, honestly, I've seen for me, whenever I begin to ask questions about my talents and desires it as it's relates to people and not myself, I get more and more clarity. I get more and more clarity because I begin to see the needs more, and then I see where I have the gifts to meet that need. So this is just a little background of who Nehemiah is and what he set out to do. So the first thing that I'm saying here, the first thing we see here to overcome distraction is that you should identify your calling, you should believe in it, and you should embrace it. If you're watching me and you're somewhere that you can write this down, write it down. Identify your calling, believe in it, and embrace it. Hey, Conscience, I see you. Welcome in. Conscience says exactly from God for his glory and for the good of all. Lord, help me. Okay. So thank you, Conscience, and welcome in. I see you. Welcome, welcome. I hope I haven't missed any other person who is in here with us. So, like I said, let the very first thing that will take distraction away from you is identifying your calling, believing in it, and embracing it. Now, we always think that calling, when we talk about God's calling, a lot of us feel a little paralyzed because we think that the call of God, and I'm not going to expand too much on this because I'm having a video coming up where I'm going to really talk about purpose, and I'm going to also share my own journey to really identifying, believing in my calling, and embracing it. So I'm going to talk about that very briefly here. I'll not go in depth with that here because I want to get us more into that area of distraction. But the very first thing that will keep you focused and not distracted is identifying your calling. And we get paralyzed because we think we have to it has to have it should have to do with you serving in the ministry, or you going on a missions to some country to preach the gospel. That is great, but it's not limited to that. If you look here, Nehemiah was not a prophet, Nehemiah was not a priest, he was none of those Jewish religious leaders. He was just a regular guy serving in the affairs of men. Remember, we said that what he was a cupbearer to the king, of a foreign land, not even the chosen land of God. He was serving there, and he served diligently. He was a man of character, and that is why he could have that kind of a position. And when he was called to go build a wall, he didn't arrive there as some messiah or as some prophet. He went there as the governor of Judah, and from there he served. So if you're thinking that, well, did God really call me, or I'm just doing my business, I'm just doing this, I'm waiting for God's call. God's calling is not in the future. Your purpose is now and has always been. If you look keenly, you'll see that you have already been living it all along. God did not even prepare Nehemiah in the temple. God prepared Nehemiah in the king's court. God did not prepare Joseph in the temple. God prepared Joseph in Potiphar's house, prepared him in the jail. So all the things in your life, wherever you've been living, that has already been part of your purpose. Many times we think that purpose is this thing where we come to God and say, "What's my calling? What's my calling?" And God is like, "Wait a minute, let me go see if I have something left on the shelf," and then He'll bring it to you. But Ephesians 2 tells us that we are God's handiwork created in Christ Jesus for a good work that God had long, long prepared for us. So your calling had long existed before you were born. It's not something you are still looking for. You just have not been able to live it to its fullest potential because you have not been aware of it, or maybe you've been aware of it but you have not embraced it. Just somebody commented on one of my videos recently, the one on the call of God, that she knew somewhere that this is what God had called her to do, but she has been escaping it, running away from it. But each time she looks at the TV, everybody sees something else. That's what she sees. She goes out, that's what she sees everywhere, until she had to embrace it. So it's not just not knowing it. Sometimes we know it, but we do not launch out into it. And so we are not living it consciously. Before, when I look at myself now, just having this desire and love to build people in the area of purpose and productivity and being organized, I can trace that all the way back down to growing up, even as the first girl in the home. I look at my middle school life. In fact, like I said in that other video, I'm going to share more. Some things recently that people told me, of things that I had said to them and things that had touched them. And I'm just like, God, I had been in my purpose, but I just did not recognize it. I did not embrace it. And so I could not live it in its full power. So maybe you are already in it. Maybe there's something you are treating as a hobby, but you have to move it from that place of hobby to where you can talk like Paul and say, my life is nothing without this thing because I have to finish this work. If you have it in your mind like that, distractions will go away. Honestly, when you embrace, I've embraced my calling, and a lot of distractions is out of my life. There are just some things that don't interest me anymore. There are just some things that I don't waste my time on it anymore, and I don't have to struggle not to put my eyes on it. But then there's still other things that still do distract me. And that's why I need more of the other tips that we're going to get here from Nehemiah's life on how to avoid distraction. But the first part is when you know your calling and you embrace it, that's the beginning. It already removes a lot of things because you already know what you should do and what you should not do. You know the path you should take and what you should not take. You know what you cannot even be comparing with because it has got nothing to do with you. You can clearly see what you should not be competing with because it has got nothing to do with where you are going. So please, brethren, it is so important that we should identify our calling and know it. And I want us to say this: say that my assignment is non-negotiable. It is not an option. It is not a hobby. It is not a fun game. It's a divine mandate from above. I'll say it again, and I want you to say it. If you want to type it in the chat, type it in the chat. My assignment is non-negotiable. It is not an option. It is not a hobby. It is not a fun game. It is a divine mandate from above. Like I'm nothing without it. If you have that kind of an attitude, if you believe in your calling, you embrace it, then more clarity is going to come. And when more clarity comes, it keeps away confusion and distraction because you clearly see what path you want to take. Confusion brings a lot of distraction. I hope that you will be able to say that to yourself over and over and over again. Now, I want us to quickly look into chapter 2, verse 7 to 8. I told you guys that this was going to be a study, right? It was going to be a study. So, Nehemiah, we're going to look at chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 7 and verse 8 to us. I also said to the king, if it pleases the king, let me have letters addressed to the governor of the province west of the Euphrates River, instructing them to let me travel safely through their territory on my way to Judah. And please give me a letter addressed to Asaph, the manager of the king's forest, instructing him to give me timber. I will need it to make beams of the gates of the temple fortress for the city wall and for a house for myself. And the king granted these requests. Why? Because the gracious hand of God was on me. Now, why am I reading this? I'm reading this because I want us to come to the next point. Yes, I like it. His word says, my assignment is non-negotiable. Yes, it is non-negotiable. The second way to overcome distraction is to identify obstacles before you set out. And this is exactly what Nehemiah did. A lot of us would just jump into something so quick because that passion is there. If you look at Nehemiah, was vexed, he was angry. He would have just picked up everything and just ran to Jerusalem to go do a good work. You will see that yes, it is his calling, it is God's purpose for him to go. But this is where what I've always talked about, goal setting and planning, comes in. Just because you have a purpose on your life doesn't mean it's just going to unfold. Jesus himself said it, that who starts to build a house without counting the cost? Who sets out on a trip without yet knowing, what is it going to take? Will I need a flight or will I need a car? If I need a car, do I have gas in that car? Who sets out for anything without first sitting down and counting the cost? Just because it is your calling doesn't mean that everything's gonna be sorry it's gonna be smooth sailing. That's what I'm trying to say. Because again, like I always say, this is my favorite word, and you must have heard me say it so many ways. We are in a fallen world, and I'm going to say that over and over again. Many of us keep this stage of planning. We skip this stage of putting down a strategy of how we're going to accomplish the thing. Remember, you have a purpose, but then you have created a vision. You have a vision in your mind for how you're going to accomplish that thing. I'm going to define some of these terms in further videos. But how are you going to get there? How are you going to build this thing that you want to build? Nehemiah, if you look here, he saw obstacles ahead of time. But the only way he would have seen what the obstacles are is because he went through the process of planning. He went through that process of goal setting and planning. Let me ask you, do you right now, if I were to just jump into your room right now, or your home, or your car, wherever you're watching me from, will I be able to see a plan that you have for this year, a written plan, or just written goals? The ways that you have said you would, what are the things you want to do this week? Do you have something written down? There's just a power of in writing something down. Do you have things written down for how you want it to come to pass? When you are writing it down, it just becomes, I'm telling you, try it. It becomes clearer and clearer. Then you are able to see what obstacles you are going to face. You'll be able to see what obstacles lie before me. Nehemiah probably did this. For him to have come to the king, remember when he believed that that's what he wanted to do, he went to the king and said, king, please send me to Judah, send me to Judah, let me go and help my people there, they need help. And the king was like, okay, yeah, go. They gave him that permission. He didn't just jump and say, oh my goodness, I found my calling, I have the permission to go. No, he said, you know what, I also said to the king, if it pleases the king, let me have letters addressed to the governor of the province west of the Euphrates, instructing them to let me travel safely. He saw that, you know what, he will have boundaries to cross, he will have territories that he has to go in. He looked and he saw that he needed resources. Remember when I did the 14-day plan your year challenge, one of the days was to identify the obstacles. Another day was to identify the things that you will need. He saw that, what, I will need timber, I'm going to need, so he said, I need resources. There are some other obstacles too. I can want to pass through a territory and they will stop me. I may want to start building something and somebody will stop me. I mean, this was a guy who was very serious about his paperwork, you know? So you have to identify the obstacles that you're going to face. Don't do shortcuts. A lot of us have set out to do something and we did not get there because we tried shortcuts. I love this comment. It says, don't jump into anything because of your passion, right? Just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean you jump into it anyhow, because the obstacles that you did not see and you did not prepare for are going to be a distraction and they're going to hold you back. It's true that things are going to happen suddenly, but it's also true that there are some things you can see ahead of time. If you're starting a business and there's some paperwork that have to be done, do it. Because in the future, the trouble you're going to have for not having those paperwork is going to be a distraction. It's going to hold you back. You have to ask yourself, what is it that I need? He said, what? Make sure that I have those letters so that I don't have a problem. He thought about his resources. What are the things that you need on this journey? If you think about them, you know, I love Nehemiah because his distractions, like I said, many of us, we are so keen only on the superficial distraction. We're going to look at that too. We are so keen only on the physical things that distract us, but we do not realize that the biggest things that distract us from this work is when we start having mental trouble, emotional trouble, and all of that. But all this mental, emotional trouble come from these type of things that we did not see, prepare, plan ahead of time. You did not look at what are the financial resources. Avoid shortcuts, right? So again, like when I say here that we have to really look at our lifestyle and our seasons, I've said that so many times. Look at the roles that you play in life and ask yourself, what are some of the obstacles that I may face? Let me give you people one example of something that happened. I remember putting a day that I will be recording for my YouTube videos, and I did not take note that it was on the day that they always come and do the grass lawn around my development, right? And it also happened to be the same day that my neighbor cuts their grass. And so I would come and I'm ready and I'm sitting down and I want to record, and then I hear boom, and you know, that was a big distraction for me. Many times I had to wait in between cuts, or I had to now say, okay, let me wait, let them finish before I continue. And it chopped up into, in fact, it just messed up my schedule for the whole day. And I remember ignoring it. And then I came and sat down again the very next week and I had the same experience. So in my head, I was like, I looked ahead of time. Look ahead of time and plan your life accordingly. I'm planning to read at this time. Is this the best time to read? Maybe my children will be back from school. You know, I need to share some of my bloopers with you guys, with me saying one word and then stopping to say, please, can you guys be quiet? You know, so when you are planning to do something, think about the obstacles ahead of time. Now, again, like I said, obstacles will not always be negative things. My kids are not bad things, right? My kids are a blessing to me, but because of poor planning, because of me not looking ahead of time to see what could go wrong, I end up not preparing for obstacles. I end up not preparing for the things that could come in the way, and then it affects me. You have to think about that. And I still remember a time when even as a family, we have done that in terms of resources. We had our siblings getting ready to get into some school programs and things like that. And you know that depending on your lifestyle, like I said, you have to preempt, you have to start seeing what could lie ahead of you. We saw that, okay, if I have to do well at school, then I may have to work less hours. But then if I work less hours, then what about the resources, to keep me up? But then I want to do both. What could I do? Maybe you're in a place where you have, we agreed, moved in together, and for a little time, with little inconvenience, got achieved some great things. Achieved some great things. Now we are in different places, in our different homes, and excelling in our different careers. We saw it ahead of time. But if you do not look at it ahead of time and you just jump, oh my goodness, I want to do this in school, I'll be accepted for this program, and you don't sit down to count the cost. In the long run, a job that is a blessing becomes as if it's a distraction. Or you're at your work and you love your career and you were trying to, expand by going to school. You feel now like that school is a problem. I've seen a lot of people find calling, find their purpose in life, and suddenly there's unnecessary turmoil, there's unnecessary division, especially when it comes to relationships. Husbands having problems with wives, and children having problems with their parents because a mom is pursuing her purpose, a father is pursuing his goal, children are trying to, all of these things is because it all ends up as a distraction, and God did not mean it for it to be so. I've told you, when I think purpose is one of those things where you don't say you do you, especially when it comes to the inside family. I'm talking to people who are married here now with families and children. There comes a time where you sit down and you plan things. I look way ahead of time. I know my husband's schedule. He knows mine. I know my children's schedule. And I know way ahead of time what could come in the way. And I plan around that. Please, people, God did not intend that when we find purpose, we fall out with people. When we find purpose, we fall out with our friends and we fall out with our families. It is true, trust me, that some people who will just naturally, even as we go further into the life of Nehemiah, you will see that we cannot avoid some of those falling out. It just has to happen. But there's some that should not happen. They do happen because we do not plan ahead of time. We do not identify obstacles before we set out. And again, some of the greatest obstacles also could be in our minds. Some of the obstacles may not necessarily be external. You have to think ahead of time. It could be a mindset that you have. It could be maybe a habit that you have. I want to start a school program, but I'm used to hanging out with friends too much on the weekends. That may something that may come in the way. You may have to start thinking, this is where I need boundaries. Maybe I have to set boundaries if I'm going to go far, in this work, because that is a potential obstacle that's going to come in the way, a distraction that's going to come in the way. Maybe you have this defeating mindset. There's something you're always thinking in your mind a certain way. Oh, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I can do this thing. What is that mindset that you have that is going to hinder you from taking the next step in your life? Or you've started a good work, but you're not able to finish it. What is that thing? So Nehemiah here saw things way ahead of time, and he said, "You know what, King? I need resources. You know what, King? Write me this letter. I don't want to get here and then this king starts telling me this and telling me that. I need these letters. I need all these things already, because already there are already obstacles, there are already distractions that I'm not seeing right now that's going to happen. But the ones that I can see, let me deal with them." I want to ask you today, what is a distraction that you already see that can happen? You're about to start that business. You're about to start that school program. What is it that you can, from here, from today, as you're looking at me, you already see that may be a problem, maybe an obstacle, maybe a distraction? Again, it could be a habit that you have, it could be a mindset, it could be the season that you are in life. If I just have a newborn as a mom, what are some of the things that may come in the way to distract me? And it could be that if I don't plan well around my baby's schedule, it may be a distraction for me. But that baby is a blessing. That baby is a blessing. So distractions are not necessarily always bad things. It may just be poor planning, or you did not see things way ahead of time, or you did not see obstacles and plan how you're going to walk your way around it. Then the very things that are blessings in their life, even some of the very things that God has given you as tools, may end up look like they are obstacles. Ask yourself today, what is it that I can see right here and now, as I am planning to embark in this thing that is going to stand in the way. Now, this is the juicier part of what I want us to learn today. The next 2 points is like the key lessons that we should learn from the life of Nehemiah, which is like the strongest distractions that we face in our lives. And that third one is that have an inner circle or of trusted and like-minded people. If you want to overcome distraction, you should have an inner circle of trusted and like-minded people. Let us read chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 11 to 18. Now, Nehemiah, that's 11, which talk about in Nehemiah inspecting Jerusalem's wall. 11 says, so I arrived in Jerusalem 3 days later. I slipped out during the night, taking only a few others with me. I had not told anyone about the plans God had put in my heart for Jerusalem. We took no pack animals with us except the donkey I was riding. After dark, I went out through the valley gates, past the jackal's well, and over to the dung gate to inspect the broken walls and burned gates. Then I went to the fountain gate and to the king's pool. But my donkey couldn't get through the rubble. So, though it was still dark, I went up the Kindron Valley, instead inspecting the wall before I turned back and entered again at the valley gate. Okay, I'm going to end. No, I'll read down. The city officials did not know that I had been out there or what I was doing, for I had not yet said anything to anyone about my plans. I had not yet spoken to the Jewish leaders, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or anyone else in the administration. But now I said to them, you know very well what trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been destroyed by fire. Let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and end this disgrace. Then I told them how then I told them about how the gracious hand of God had been on me and about my conversation with the king. They replied at once, yes, let's rebuild the wall. So they began the good work. Now, there's something so key that I would like us to get here. Thank you, Sister Jasmine. I'm glad you're being blessed by this. Having an inner circle of trusted and like-minded people is very important. Nehemiah, like I said, this was a man who really planned so well. After he did everything, they had given him the letters and everything, he did not just run out there into Jerusalem and started telling everybody what he was about to do. They said that what he took a few people. He said, I took a few people, and he went and surveyed and looked. Again, this is the planning that I'm talking about. If you want to keep distractions away from you, you have to have a few people in your life that you share, people with whom you can share the initial plans, you can ask the questions at the initial stages, and you can cry to them in the middle of the night. You need that midnight hour circle around you. You cannot just throw everything out there and then you get all the feedback that is contradicting. And, for example, it's like if I need for people to tell me something about color, I need to have an inner circle of people who understand color. So that if I'm saying that, what color should we pick here? I have this idea. What color do you think can work here? Somebody is not going to shout number 5, right? Number 5 is not a color. And that's what happens when you don't have an inner core of people that you initially share things with, like the initial stage of things. And again, I'm not saying here that we should be this kind of shady people, because I know people who are also very, very funny and shady. There is no way that you can set out on a journey without involving your community, without involving the people that you serve. I still remember, and I think I shared this with us one time here, when I was doing my degree program in nursing and we had to do community nursing. Whenever we went to the community, maybe we went out for vaccination, maybe we went out to encourage the people to work on the project, maybe to fill up their drains that were, the places that were harboring water and breeding mosquitoes. Nobody is going to come out, even if you brought incentives, even if you brought free mosquito nets or you brought something free, because you had to involve them in the work. they had to be part of that community work. So you have to involve the people. But we did not just show up there having no plan, having no clue what we wanted to do, and we just say, ask everybody, what do you guys think we should do about this? You're going to get so many things that are going to be distracting. There are a lot of us who have we have something that we have set out to do, and it's like the whole of social media is what is helping us to make decisions in our lives. You look over there, you feel like, oh, I think this is how I'm going to structure this my business, and then you look over there, oh, this is how I think I'm going to structure my business, or I think I'm going to read this course, and then you see this person say, oh, this is what people are reading in school, oh, I think this is the program I'll do, and this is the program that I'll do. You just go over there in a wide big wall and ask anybody, how should I raise my child? And then you have a million people telling you how you should raise your children. And that is distracting. Again, like I said, when you are setting out on a journey to serve, or you are being part of a community, they're going to be part of that journey. But first, you have to talk to your inner circle, your inner core. And I know many people say it's so difficult nowadays to have those, that inner circle, to have people that you so trust that you can share something and they will give you an unbiased opinion. But if we look deep down, and for me, that's why that should be actually be at the top of your prayer topics this year. I don't know about you, but that is top right there. Father, those inner circle friends, when it comes to me as a mother, or for my family, or for my ministry, or for my career, you need that inner circle. You need that inner circle. And that's something that we should really, really pray and concentrate about it. This was Nehemiah said, I told nobody about the plan. I didn't tell, I got just a few people. I took just a few people and we went ahead and I surveyed the land. Remember, he was not there. He had to see how the gate was. He had to look at a few things and be sure how things were going. And picture everything, look at his resources. I'm guessing he looked at his resources, looked at, what he was going to need, brought up another plan. He had to see what was going on firsthand. I have people that I know I can call and without fear tell them some things about me as a mother, about my children, knowing that at the end of that call, they're not going to pick up the phone like, guess who called, right? That's what we fear every day. Many people are not able to be vulnerable. They're not able to share initial plans and things with others because a lot of people have proven not to be trusted. But trust me, there are always trusted people, the people that you can trust out there. And again, like I said, if you need discernment and you need some guidance on how to identify and invite these people in your life, there are practical tips out there also, which we're going to get some of them ongoing on this channel. But then you should have that at the top of your prayer topics this year, for God to give you that inner circle. I'm telling you that you need, if you, because somebody may say, well, but I see, or for example, sorry, I'm trying to bring my thoughts together about what I want to share. I want to give an example of, just a few weeks ago, I went on Instagram and Facebook and even here on my community tab here on YouTube, and I was sharing with you guys and saying that, hey, please, can you guys give me some topics, some suggestions on things that you want that we should share or talk about in the area of, you know, finding clarity and pursuing our purpose, from the place of balance. I shared all of that, but I did not get up and not know where I was going before I brought that. It means that by the beginning of this year, I'd evaluated my last year. I knew where I was. I knew what God wanted for this channel this year. And then from there, I now involve my community. I now involve the people that I'm working with. So that is this. Those are the steps that Nehemiah took, so that you are not so confused. You are not so sure. I don't see a comment in my comments section, and I'm confused. Should I still be doing this? Oh, somebody said that this, and somebody said that and said that. You will gather all these things, but you'll be able to filter them, or you'll be able to channel them in the way that works for your mission, for where you are going. I'm talking about deep distractions here. Like I told you guys, I'm not going to be talking here today about just social media kind of distraction. I'm talking about things that are really holding you back, distracting you from having clarity. Remember, I said, Shanti Boom, here we're going to be talking about deep things that give us clarity for what we should be doing. So have that inner circle. And when I just started my YouTube channel, I still remember one of my sisters, I love, some of you may know her, Precious from Precious Kitchen. I remember when I just started, she had been on YouTube a long time ago. Right now she's a big YouTuber, and I asked her some things. I ran some things by her first, and God, oh, that some people just a beautiful, good sweetheart. And she would not just answer me one question. She would answer me a million other things and tell me about this and tell me about that. And, so all these things she gave me. Again, before that, I already remember your first inner circle. Your first inner circle is God. I'd already been talking with God, knew why I was here and what I was going to be doing here. And so when I went next to somebody like her and she gave me all these ideas and all these things, I knew that I have to now take this one and still, filter them. Look at it from where I am going. Look at it for the journey that I have, my own personality, my own assignment, and everything. I still remember I didn't know anything about the having your banner up there. And when I went on YouTube, I even got more confused by the tutorials. And in 1, 2, 3 steps, she was able to tell me that. And there's just one out of the so many people in my beginning days that helped me. I have Pastor God's Power here. I still remember that was my very first time on StreamYard, was actually on his channel. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, do I really know what I'm going to click? It's like, calm down. This thing is just 2, 3, I will get it. Let's walk you through it. So you always have to have this trusted people that you can share the initial stages of things. That is what Nehemiah did here. You should have those people. That I don't know how much I can emphasize on this. But you see, after that, he still went, because if you look at verse 16, um he says that he now went over to them and said, you know very well the trouble that we lie in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been destroyed by fire. Let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and end this disgrace. But before, he was bringing in now, and again, you see, this is another inner circle. This is another broader circle, because it's not yet to the people. He called just these leaders and he shared and sold a vision again to them. And what did they say? If you look at, let's say, they replied at once, yes, let's rebuild the wall. They were with him because they saw a leader who did not just come all the way to Judah. You've not been there and just want to tell people about certain things. He took his time and surveyed and saw what was going on with very other few people. I bet those were people who could tell him where to go, what to do, and what was going on. So please, if you're going to avoid distractions in your life, if you're going to avoid confusion that is going to be taking you round and round and round the world, then you are going to you're going to have an inner circle. His word says, I love how you tie these 3 points together. Have an inner circle that you share your plan with, because feedback is one important key to success. Yes, feedback is so important. Feedback is so important. That's why you see when even big programmings that happen now, they involve everybody. The programmer is involved, the consumer is involved, the business people are involved, that whole circle is involved to bring out this product. Let me tell you, before you see a company send out a survey to get a feedback, this company did not just get out and say, hey, you know what, I think I want to do this thing, and then they just hit out the survey. No, they must have already had maybe partners, other people, do some inner work, have some level of clarity with an inner work. And then it even guides them on what that survey should be. What should we be asking the people? And based on that survey, now to the bigger population, of to the people they are serving, they are able to kind of have again more clarity. If you have been confused, if right now you're confused and sometimes you don't know where to go, what to do, what decisions to make, what direction should I take with my channel, what direction should I take with my business, what direction should I take in my marriage, what direction should I take with my life, don't just throw it out there. Many people don't have this inner circle. That's why you just see somebody so frustrated in the middle of the night, they just want to put something up on social media, right? And to them, that's being vulnerable. Now there's a difference between personal things, sharing your personal life and stories to encourage and to bring people in, and there's also a difference between personal and private, right? You have to have an inner circle so that when it shortens your time. I just imagine how long it would have taken Nehemiah if he did not first walk from God to the little people, and then to the leaders, and then to the people. So this was a great method to take away distraction from his life. So it's, again, like I said, always try to have that inner circle. I'm repeating it over and over because I think it is something that I'm seeing a big difference in my life, having people that I can run things by comfortably, and being sure that I am on the right track, because sometimes you don't see the vision, may be yours, but you may not see what others are also seeing. But these people have to be trusted people. Now, before we go to the next point, there's something that I noticed here, and I really, really just want to run it by us. And I like to point out, because again, you see, I'm trying to go through Nehemiah's life and pull out those points. If you notice, we started in chapter 1 and we're going. But now, when I was studying this, I remember, which is something that I do when I'm having like a long study, is that at times I just put my audio Bible and I kind of listen to it while I'm cleaning or while I'm doing something. So before I came to sit down to really study Nehemiah's life, I first just put it on my audio and I was listening to it. And when I got to chapter 3, remember I said this is Nehemiah's memoir. It is like his journal. He's writing things down. Nehemiah, at this point, is just listing the people who did this. He says, the son of these people repaired this gate. The son of these people did this one. You know, just listing down the different work that the different people did. When I got to that place, I noticed I was a little bored. I was a little distracted. And I was like, okay, let this chapter finish fast. Let me continue with the story. But right there and then, it just hit me that Nehemiah took note of whoever, he took note of the work that everybody did. And it was just so encouraging to me. You know, I want to believe that we are in the chapter 3 of God's book, of the work that we are doing, building the work of God. But I also want to ask you that who is in your chapter 3? Who is in the chapter 3 of your memoir? Who is in the chapter 3 of your journal? You know, and when I said that, I had to take time and reflect. I've just mentioned one of my sisters here with you, but there are so many people, even my moderator that's always helped me here. There's so many people that come to my mind when I remember my early days of motherhood, my early days of marriage, my first few days in a new church or in a new location, or first few weeks at work in a new job. I cannot forget the impact that those people had in my life. I want to ask you today, who is in your chapter 3, the chapter 3 of your memoir, of your journal, where you're writing down who did it? Because God is not unjust to forget. That's what Hebrews tells us, right? God is not unjust to forget your labor of love, the work that you have done and which you are still doing. And I think we should have the same attitude as well. Let us not forget the work or the people who have been part of our vision. It was his assignment. It was Nehemiah's assignment, but he did not carry out that assignment alone, right? He worked with the people and he did not overlook the people who had done what. He took his time and he wrote down everything. This person did this person did that. And I also want to ask you another question. Are you in the chapter 3 of another person's journal? Are you in the chapter 3 of another person's memoir? Because many times we believe that God should raise that inner circle for us. God should raise those people. But have you looked around to also see an opportunity that you can be an Aaron to somebody lifting up their hands? Have you looked and see where you can be a Timothy to somebody? Have you looked around and seen where you can be an Elijah? You know, we have to look around and ask ourselves to, if you are going to feature in the chapter 3, because at times you may think that you are actually helping somebody's vision, but maybe that is your work. That is part of your work. That is part of building you. Because at the end of the day, like we said, one person is the eye, one person is the ear, one other person is the mouth, somebody is the arms, the legs. You know, we have very unique functions, but we carry each other. So I think that was what I kind of drew from this. I just thought that I should throw that out on us before we continue. So I want you to write this question down. Who who features in the chapter 3 of my memoir, of my journal, and find time, reflect, and think about it. If you want to give somebody a call, you want to send somebody, you want to just do something, or at times it could just be in your heart. And again, let me say something here. I'm not saying you should be enslaved by it, because I've also seen people who will hold you by the neck because they did something for you. It's like you're indebted to them now. Okay, because I do, you had to, don't be enslaved by somebody just because they were a part of your journey. It has to be a willing thing that, you know what, I recognize, I acknowledge, I appreciate the fact that you were a part of my journey. And I may not have to even pay it back directly to you. Maybe I don't even have an opportunity to give you back, to show that favor back directly to you. Maybe I have an opportunity to show that favor back to somebody else. So that is also somebody thing that is very important. And again, it has nothing so much to do with what we're talking about here today, but I just thought that I should run it by us before I go to our last but one um thing about Nehemiah's life, on how he overcame distraction, which is something that we are facing a lot in today's day and time. I just want to again welcome anybody who is joining us midway. We are looking at the five ways that we can overcome distractions and stay focused so that we can run this race and finish this race. And we are looking at the life of Nehemiah. I decided in today's life to pick one person in the life of Nehemiah as an example to see what of the lessons in his life. How could he, in 52 days, do such a great work? And again, like I said, we have 52 weeks in this year, and we've already consumed 5 of it, right? So we have just the remaining left. How are we also going to finish a great work? And let me read here some other comments that I am seeing. It says it's actually better to pass the good done to you on to others. Yes, pass the good done to you on to others. And conscience is chronology, focus, knowledge, and determination. Unpreparedness can destabilize things. Yes, unpreparedness can destabilize things. And I have seen that even in, let me use YouTube here as an example. I've seen unpreparedness also destabilize me. I started YouTube running the show, and then not long into it, it was the show was running me, and I saw that. That's what I love. I'm so grateful for 2021. It was a year that I felt grounded. It was a year I had inner growth. It was a year I think that I took time and reflected. I understood what being here was going to take out of me. I understood how much of it, of my time, my energy, it was going to take. And I really took time, worked together with my husband to see how, things will flow from here. And I think, I towards the end of last year, if you do follow me on social media, and by the way, if you don't, check me out, Shanti Bloom on Instagram, and check my Facebook page. Follow me there. I do share some great things within the week, or here on YouTube I'll post once a week, but then I do share some other great stuff beyond that within the week. So check me out there if you haven't done that. So like I was saying, I remember putting up towards the end of the year that I finally found something, a schedule, a system, something that works for me. For some people it comes by like this. It didn't come by like that for me. It took a while for me, doing a lot of test driving, structuring something. It works for a little bit, then I feel like I think I need to restructure here again a little bit. It works for me, and then I figure out a way to restructure again a little bit, until I came. And again, as I move to another step and another level, there will be more adjustments that are going to be needed. So it is important that we plan. Again, I'm actually like trying to build up on conscience comment that she made here, and that will be kind of related to the aspect of looking at obstacles way ahead of time. When you prepare, you plan. Sometimes it may look as if it's slowing things down for you, but I'd rather build on a solid foundation than to rush into things and build some big fancy looking thing on a very shaky foundation. And when the winds and the waves blow, which they will, that house come crumbling down. So thank you so much for those comments. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for those who are coming in now. We are 2 more points away from finishing this live. And the fourth one is that you should expect opposition and choose your battles wisely. This is a big one. It's a big distraction for us all, including myself. We should expect opposition in life. You should expect opposition. I think that if you feel that everybody in this world is just so much in love with you, everybody just going to be on the same page with you and everything, then I feel like you are a little gullible. If you believe that, I think that you would be I'm thinking of a word, but the word is not coming. You will face opposition many times. When we do not tell ourselves that we're going to face opposition, when we don't prepare for it, then it comes. That is when it becomes a shock. That's when it becomes a big distraction. You have to expect that opposition will come, but when it comes, you have to choose your battles wisely. I'm going to break this into 3 other things which I want us to really, really look at it. But before that, let me read this comment by Virtual Church. Says, powerful teaching. So many people are confused and upset because they feel they failed in their calling, but they have violated all the principles covered in this video. Oh, thank you so much. There are some principles we don't, follow, and then obstacles come, distractions come, and it hit hard. And it hits you hard because, let me tell you, it hits you hard because it's your passion. It hits you hard because initially you have told yourself that what, my life is nothing without this thing. And so when you do not plan well and you do not do the things that you were supposed to do, and distraction comes and we cannot overcome it, we begin to feel like we're a failure. But that will not be our portion after this, because we're going to try our best to apply. These are deep level distractions which we have to deal with. If it is just to give you tips on how to get off your phone and get off social media, I'm going to do a lot of that in every day's video. But for this study, this is for people who in business, who you're going somewhere, and these are deep level distractions that we have to work on. Hey, Prudence, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you. It says, indeed, preparation and schedules are necessary for firm foundations. Yes, they are very necessary for firm foundations. Firm foundations. In different roles in my life, I have seen the importance of preparation, and preparation is not easy. It feels slow. Like a foundation looks like it takes forever, but when it stands, the building just goes up. I mean, building the walls, there have been times that I passed through a place, and by the time I'm coming back, the walls are up. But then I saw that it took months and months and months of me passing on that road, and the foundation felt like, what are these people walking here every day? And I'm not seeing any progress. But the moment that foundation was laid, the building went up like nothing. So please let us not skip that stage of foundation, because you will encounter some things, some obstacles that will be an emotional distraction for you in future, which is something that you could have dealt with early enough. Okay, that said, let us get into this aspect of opposition and picking your battles wisely. And I'm going to show you the different kind of oppositions or kind of distractions that come in the form of opposition in the life of Nehemiah. I'm going to read chapter 4, verses 1 to 3. It says, Sanballat was very angry when he learned that we were rebuilding the wall. He flew into a rage and mocked the Jews, saying in front of his friends and the Samaritan army and a Samaritan army officer, what does this bunch of poor, feeble Jews think they're doing? Do they think they can build the wall in a single day by just offering a few sacrifices? Do they actually think they can make something of stones from a rubbish heap and charred ones at that? Tobiah, the Ammonite, who was standing beside him, remarked, that stone wall would collapse if even a fox walked along the top of it. How many of us have been mocked before? Let me tell you that people who would just be angry. It says that Sanballat was very angry when he learned that we were rebuilding the wall. Let me tell you that people who would just be angry when they hear or see that you are onto a good work, they will be angry. That is the first kind of opposition that we face. Mocking battles. Mocking battles. This one is often from others, right? Mocking battles. What does this one thing is doing? So you really believe you can also start a business? Or when people are saying they are going to school, you also believe that you can go to school. This one, even if they put a paper in front of him, he will not know what he's doing. Those are the kind of things that Sanballat and Tobias were doing here. And you may think like, oh no, big Nehemiah, it will not affect him. It did. Because if he turned around and cried to God and said, God, they are mocking your people, it's because those mockeries, the enemy brings those kind of things to us to demoralize us, because the state in which you are emotionally really, really matters. The state of your heart and your mind. That's why when I started the A part of what I'm sharing with us here today, I had talked about that a new form of distraction the enemy is bringing to us today is to put us on an emotional roller coaster. You get up one fine morning that you want to go about your day, and before you know, you're on just this emotional turmoil. And from there you can focus. From there, even all these things I'm sharing here, you cannot, do those things. It is a trick of the enemy. And one of that was happening to Nehemiah here was the one of mocking, right? They came and said, oh, look at this one. So you really think you can do this? We have all those external distractions, those external opinions that come from others. And when they do come and they hurt us, should we do? We should talk to God, because it says, then I prayed, hear us, our God, for we are being mocked. May their scoffing fall back on their own heads, and may they themselves become captives in a foreign land. Do not ignore their guilt. Do, Okay, I'll end there. It's a very long prayer. So the point I'm trying to make here is that bringing out is that he was onto a great work. The people were like, yes, let's do this. And they were building. And he was so excited. In chapter 3, he's writing down all the people and the work that they are doing. But then here is Sambala, they heard about it and they were just angry. The enemy is angry when your eyes are finally opened and you're finally doing something. When you are just lost, living your life like, you don't know what your left from your right, nobody bothers you, nobody says nothing to you. The moment your eyes open, the moment you feel like there is more to life than this, the moment you start speaking like Paul, that my life is nothing unless I finish this work that has been given to me. The moment you start telling yourself that I am onto a good work, I have to be more intentional. And because of that, I have to maybe start setting boundaries. Because of that, I have to start thinking about reconsidering my mindset. Because of that, I have to start working on my habits. The enemy is going to be angry. And he's going to bring that through what people to start mocking you. So this one also thinks that they can turn their lives around. You also think that you can really change. Those are the kind of things that you're going to hear mockers tell you, and it demoralizes you. Before you know it, it turns from the voices of others to now becoming your own voice in your head. Can I really do this? Will this really succeed? They say, they say, they say, they say. Getting feedback from people is very different from mockery that is coming. And that is why I said you need that inner circle, because it is in times like this that you can still get this and come back to your inner circle. First, inner circle being God, and then maybe those other few people who share the same. Again, like I said, inner circle can be at different levels and roles in your life. So it depends on where that mockery is coming from. If I'm getting a mockery coming to me in the area of motherhood, do I have that one mama that I can talk to? If something is coming towards me, mocking me in the area of my business, is that another business partner that I can talk and they'll be like, please, that's not feedback. That is just some mockery that is coming. Do I have somebody in the different areas of my life that I can talk to? So Nehemiah here turned to God and said, God, they are mocking me. Now I'm saying that we should turn to God because emotional things do go deep when people talk to us. It's a distraction. And you should identify, you should know it, but you should be able to differentiate between those kind of distractions, and feedback. Many times what people are telling you is not feedback, because I've seen people mock others and say, oh, you're not open to feedback. It is very, very different. But again, like I said, take it all, but then with God's help, with discernment, if you have also done the first three things that I've shared here, it will be clear to you what is a mockery, and it will be clear to you what is a feedback. All right, before we continue, a few other people have joined us here, and I want to just welcome their hello, mommy, welcome. She's welcoming you all, also bloomers. Hello, sis. Hi, everyone. Hello, welcome for His highest name. I'm glad to see you here. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. We are talking about the 5 ways that we can avoid distraction and we can stay focused. And we're looking at the life of Nehemiah, the different ways that Nehemiah overcame distraction in his life. And I said that we are looking at deep level distraction here, the things that really distract us from, carrying out our vision or carrying out the purpose that God has put upon our lives. And right now we're just saying that we have to expect opposition. When you start off thinking that I'm just going to go viral, everybody's just going to love me, when I start this business in my community, everybody's going to be shopping from here, oh my goodness, then you are surprised that nobody passes there, even your own closest friends and family, right? Or you start school and you feel like, oh, everything is just going to be fine, I'm going to be on the good page of every teacher, every student, every semester is just going to go well, everything will be fine, and then you find opposition, then it's going to shock you more. So expect that it's going to come. And I think that somewhere Nehemiah expected some things. That's why even before, when the king said go, he did not just go. He said, I need this one, I need that one, sign me this paper, sign me that one, because he knew that some things will come. But then there's some that you will not see, and there's some that you cannot control. There are just people who will be angry when you are changing, and that anger is not really them. I've told you that there's something that you have to see that will help you. See it that, what, I'm fulfilling God's will for my life, and the enemy is angry. Now he cannot jump here with his ugly face, and so he's going to use my mind. He's going to take advantage of my bad habits. He's going to take advantage of my weaknesses. He's going to take advantage even of the loved ones around me. It's going to even take advantage of the enemies, the people who did not even love me before now. And then people like Sambalat and Tobias, they're going to come around and they're going to mock you. So expect it, but then you have to, be wise, choose your battles wisely. I'm going to skip to chapter 6 to show you another thing that Nehemiah did. Nehemiah first, like I said, when he experience opposition was that what he ran to God and he spoke to God. This is another thing that he did, which is in chapter 6, 1 to 4. Now, Sanballat, Tobias, Geshem, and the Arab and the rest of our enemies found out that I had finished rebuilding the wall and that no gaps remained. Though we had not yet set up the doors in the gates, so Sanballat and Geshem sent a message asking me to meet them at one of the villages in the plain of honor. But I realized they were plotting to harm me. So I replied by saying this message to them: I'm engaged in a great work, so I can't come. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? 4 times they sent the same message, and each time I gave the same reply. The fifth time, Sanballat's servant came with an open letter in his hand, and this is what it said: There is a rumor among the surrounding nations, and Geshem tells me sorry. There is a rumor among the surrounding nations, and Geshem tells me it is true that you and the Jews are planning to rebel, and that is why you are building the wall. According to his reports, you plan to be their king. He also reports that you have appointed prophets in Jerusalem to proclaim about you. Look, there is a king in Judah. You can be very sure that this report will get back to him, and we'll get back to the king. So I suggest that you come down and talk it over with me now. I replied, there is no truth in any part of your story. You are making up the whole thing. They were just trying to intimidate us, imagining that they could discourage us and stop the work. So I continued the work with even greater determination. With even greater determination. I just really love Nehemiah. Again, like I said, one of the battles you are going to have are mocking battles, right? Battles that come to tell you that you're not good enough. Battles that come to laugh at what you're doing. Battles that come to make you doubt, that come to steal your confidence. Those are the kind of distractions that we're going to face. And we saw earlier that Nehemiah faced that. Now, the second type of battles are unnecessary battles, battles that are not true. And again, like I said, these things can start from our minds. It comes also from outside. How many times have you told yourself lies? Because these were lies. They cooked up this lie saying that we have heard that you're doing this. We have heard that this wall you're building is because you want to be king. You guys want to rebel. All lies. But he was able to tell that it was a lie because he knew the truth. Do you know the truth about your vision? Do you know the truth about your assignment? Do you know the truth about your God, the one who gave you that assignment? Do you know the truth about you, who you are in Christ? If you do not know the truth, you're going to face a lot of lies out here. The moment you start pursuing your purpose in life, the moment you start wanting to just, there are going to be a lot of lies about you, your life, your marriage. There are going to be a lot of lies being told to you about what a bad mom or dad you are, what a bad wife or husband you are, what a bad employee you are, what a bad student you are, what a bad business person you are, and the motives behind all those things that you're doing. You're going to hear those lies. But are you going to stop the work that you're doing and cater to those lies? Nehemiah said that word. No, I'm not going to do that. That is why at the beginning of this, I told us to write it down and to say to ourselves that my calling is non negotiable. My calling is not an option. It's not just a hobby that I do today and I don't do it the day that I don't feel like. It is a mandate from above. It is something that has been put on me from above. It is a work that was predestined even before I was born. And that is how Nehemiah looked at the work. Nehemiah was like, I'm not good. I'm doing an important work here to cater to lies. What are the lies you have been believing that you will stop and go to cater to those lies in your head, in your mind? That I'm not good enough. So let me stop what I am doing and try to figure out how can I be good enough. Maybe I should try to pretend to be a little bit more charismatic. Maybe I should pretend to be this and pretend to be that. You are being an amazing mom, and then these lies pop up, and then you feel like, you know what, maybe to become a better mom, this is how I should do things. Maybe for this marriage to work. This is, there are these lies I'm getting. There are a lot of lies out there now about what God ordained relationships to be, marriage to be, how a home should be run. And we are catering to those lies, and we have missed out on the mission, the vision, the purpose for which God brought you and that man together. There are a lot of lies out there that are, taking us away. What lies are you believing? That's something I want you to write down that question. If you are able to write it down or type it somewhere, what are the lies that Sambalat and Tobias are bringing to me? And I'm leaving the great work that God has given me, and I'm catering to those lies. I'm allowing it to just destroy me emotionally, and it is beginning to show physically. I've always said that how you feel on the inside, what you think on the inside, how you see yourself on the inside, how you see even your work on the inside, it shows on the outside. Somebody with a keen eye can see that, what, you don't really believe. That's why you see me, I really don't share something I don't believe in, because you're going to see, even from my body language, that she doesn't really believe in this thing that she's saying. So those kind of lies are going to come. Don't think that distractions will just leave you today after this live stream. It's going to keep coming, because what does it say? If you look at verse 4 of chapter 6, that four times they sent the same message, and each time I give them the same reply. The same reply. The way you're going to overcome distraction is that have a firm way that you're going to deal with that distraction that keeps coming. Have a scripture that you are going to hit on that lie that keeps coming to your head. Work on that habit that keeps standing in the way, because it will not go away just by wishful thinking, just by when you are done with this live stream today. Distractions will not just leave you. They kept coming. They said it came 4 times, and he gave them the same answer. They said, "Calm down, let us talk." He said, "No, I can't calm down." They now decided, let's cook up a lie and make him feel and believe and be afraid. And that was their way of saying that what? That was their way of trying to bring in fear. A lot of us also, fear is a big distraction. A big distraction. I can't tell you how many times I already shared with you guys how one of my weaknesses can be over planning, overthinking, over waiting for certain things to be perfect. And the devil knows that. And so he always brings, one of the greatest things for me is fear. 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 And but you see, let me tell you, I said something at the beginning, and let me prove it to you here. Now, if Nehemiah was thinking about himself, he would have been like, oh my God, this is not who I am. I don't want them to see me as if I'm a rebel. He would have run to them. But he paid no attention to him and his reputation. He was thinking about the work. He said, the time I'll leave and go, the work will stop. So he started to think about the work. Something that has helped me greatly with over planning, overthinking, over calculating. Again, it may sound like I'm contradicting myself, because I'm the same person who I said we should take time and prepare. But there's a time where preparation has to move on to something else. When the foundation is done, it's done. You should be able to tell, if an objective has been met, if it has met the goal, stop and move ahead, right? One thing that has helped me greatly is that when I remove myself from whatever situation, be it in any role that I'm playing, like that's why you see me, I know I'm talking to people who are pursuing different things in life. And that's why I keep wanting to leave it so general. That's why you keep hearing me calling different things, because we play different roles in life. We have different assignments. We have different dreams, visions, and passions. When I'm talking, just take it and apply it to those different areas. Whatever is holding you back, that fear, remove yourself from it and think about the work. Think about the work. Think about the work. The times that I've given my kids the best advice, or allow them to do something, is when I remove myself. What will people think of me as a mom? When I remove me from that thing, I'm able to think clearly and make the right decisions for my children, irrespective of what anybody would think and talk about me as a mom, talk about me. When I remove myself from here on YouTube, I'm able to think more about, what does God want you to do, Chantal? What are the needs of the people? What is the work you are supposed to do here? When I remove me from it and think about the work, then I look around that lie. I'm like, you know what, lie? You can keep coming 4, 5, 6 times, but I'm doing a work here. I'm going to keep listening to the Father. I'm going to keep listening to my community. I'm going to keep listening to what the people need and what God has put in my hand that can serve, and I'll do it. I'll quit believing those lies that tell me that I'm this, I'm that, I'm not good enough here, I'm not good enough there. And again, like I told you, feedback is different, because sometimes we need feedback to develop, to grow. Maya looked at the work and not about themselves. People of God, let's take ourselves out of it. do a work that outlives you. Jesus did not say, I want to live for 1 million years on earth. He was, I want to do a work that even after I've died, resurrected, and gone, people still talk about me. I love the song. I was listening, we were singing at our devotion with the kids, you are great, you are great. Everything written about you is great. Everything written about Jesus is great. Everything. Let your work outlive you. Let your work outlive you. you know a few comments I'm seeing here. The enemy is the father of lies. Father of lies. If the Bible says it, then he is the father of lies. A scripture to tackle it. Good. I have, when I think I have a friend who had done a video here on YouTube about how to memorize scriptures. And you may look at it like those are the things we did when we were at kids and everything. That's a challenge I put on myself recently. I started to realize that some scriptures that I knew secondhand, I no longer know them. Let me tell you, sometimes you are faced with something, you need that scripture at the tip of your fingers. There's no time to go open your scripture or open your Bible app, right? You need to have a scripture to tackle everything. Let me tell you, the lies that we face, right? They're strongholds. You cannot just wish them off. You have to negate every lie with truth. So again, like I said, what are the lies you're believing? Write them down, and then you go and look at what is the truth behind this lie, right? Every lie, truth, lie, truth. And that is how you keep fake, you keep attacking the lie. Sambala knew the truth, and he said, you know what, what's urgent now is the work. These are just lies you people are bringing. I'm not coming. I'm not coming. Many of us have turned over to the lies. And Mama is sharing here with us John 8:44. The devil is the father of all lies. Yes, that's it. The same thing, just confirming what our sister said earlier. And he said that's important. You have to do a work that outlives you. That's my cry, and that should be the cry of us all. And if it outlives us, then it's not about us, right? Because we will die. Maybe at some point, people may not want to see you, hear you. The different things can happen to you, but the work that you've done, the impact you've had in people's lives, that business, that restaurant, even after you've gone, let people still go there and eat. After you've gone, let people still be putting on those clothes that you designed. Even long after you've gone, let people still sing and enjoy your music. Long after you've gone, let your kids still be living the things that they have learned from you. There's so many things that when I look at myself, I see my mom in me. And there are many other things that when I look at my daughter, I already start seeing her in me. Trust me, sometimes my kids are like a mirror. They show me the negative things about me. They equally show me the positive things about me because they mimic those things. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're sounding right now like me, and I don't like that. So that tells me that there's something that I have to work on. Or there's something that I see them mimicking, and it's something about me, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, that's good. That's how you are, things that you do outlives you, right? Leave impact and mark on people that is going to outlive you. This is what Nehemiah said here. Expect opposition, choose your battles wisely. We have said that they are mocking battles. We've also said that they are unnecessary battles. I've seen people fight unnecessary battles. Little thing. There is this quote. Oh my goodness, I wish I had written it here. This quote says that if you would stop, you will never get to your destination if you stop to throw stones at every dog that barks. That's how some of us are. Every dog that barks, we stop and throw a stone. Every dog that barks, we stop and throw a stone. You will never get to where you're going because there are so many dogs on our journey, and they will just keep barking and barking. And one thing I've known about the devil is that it's just the same, like when you discover something that works for you, you keep doing it, right? The devil also knows if he discovers that, fear is something that whenever I bring to her, it works, they'll keep using it. If he knows that mockery is what, when they bring, it works for you, he'll keep using it. That's why you see they kept coming until finally, when they saw that his reply was the same, they changed the strategy. So keep hitting hard until the enemy changes the strategy. But remember, because you're walking this journey with God, you will see every strategy he is using even before he comes. Even before he brings it to you, because you're walking with a God who sees the end from the beginning, who sees the spiritual, who sees beyond here. So we have to understand that there are unnecessary lies, and we have to say no to it. Lie in the understanding of your assignment. Anytime we have to understand that, or we have to say no. We have to really say no to certain things or no to certain distractions. And somebody may say, well, it's not just as easy as you say. And it's true. It's not so easy to just say no to a lie. It's not easy. But the power to say no is when you understand, like Nehemiah, that this assignment is not negotiable. I've already said that. He knew that, and so he was able to say no. If for you what you're doing is just a hobby, sometimes you will just flow. You'll not be able to say no. You have to have so much passion, that you have to carry it with. There should be a yes in within you that is so passionate, is so strong that you are able to say no on the outside, right? The yes inside there should be so strong. As I says here that okay, that's a comment that I already put up before. Okay, sorry, I thought that was a new comment. So it will lie in the strength of your passion, in the strength of understanding that your vision is non-negotiable. It will lie in understanding that what you are doing is actually a command. I've been told to go out there and make disciples. It is necessary for me to run the race. And then we also have some of the fake battles. We also have fake battles, which is also battles in the mind, which we have I've already addressed that. The fake battles also can be internal and they can be external. And some other kind of battles, something is coming to my mind here. I'm trying to bring it out to us. One other kind of battle that I kind of see even here in Nehemiah is that sometimes when the enemy has tried everything on the outside and he cannot, he will often bring that same kind of distraction from within, and that works much more. If you are being criticized or negative things are being said to you from just somebody you don't know, sometimes it doesn't bother you. If you're being betrayed by somebody that is just out there, it will hurt, but it might not hurt too deep. But it becomes very, very hurtful when it's internal. Becomes very, very hurtful when it comes from the inside. And the enemy knows that when it comes from somewhere in, when it comes from a place that is closer to you, somebody who knows you, sees you, everything, hurts from inside, hurt more because you have been transparent with that inner core. And so it goes deeper. And the enemy knows that. And that is why when they saw that it wasn't going to work, they now brought another line now through. It was no longer them, Sanballat and everything. They brought another line out from within, telling him to go hide in the temple. And all this was cooked up with somebody, on his team, in his camp. How many of you have been given up and you just don't want to go ahead with what you're doing again because you feel like the opposition that you're facing is from within? Maybe you're beginning to face opposition even from your inner circle. Maybe you're beginning to face opposition from your closest loved one, from that trusted friend. Just when this was going on, this was the time that an internal person had to betray or kind of conniving with the external people to put Nehemiah down. And around this time was also the time when even the people who were doing the work began to complain. There were just so many complaints coming up. Oh, the work labor were very few now to do this, materials, everything. Have you ever come to a place in your life where it's like all hell breaks loose? You used to see that, okay, when I had distraction over there, I had my inner circle to run to. But then it's as if there's confusion even in your inner circle's camp. That you have conflicting things even within your mind. The enemy knows how powerful it is. I'm pointing these things out because many times your greatest distraction, again, like I said, is not your phone. Your greatest distraction may not even be the internet. Actually, sometimes you run to your phone and the internet because you have those distractions already going on, and you're feeling like that is a way of escape. Maybe like I can find solution on my phone, I can find solution on the internet, I can just escape to that virtual wall and it's going to help me. No, the real distraction, these are the real distractions that we are bringing about. And I like what my sister says here, that yes, walk in authority. You have to walk in authority, and the only way you can walk in authority is when you know that God's hand is upon you. If you look throughout Nehemiah, you will see that he knew that the hand of the Lord is upon him. And that's why we're going into the fifth way of overcoming distractions in your life, is to trust in the Lord who sustains you. We have to trust in the God who sustains us. Trust in the God who sustains you. All through, if you look at Nehemiah, wherever, when he went before the king, even after fasting and praying, when he initially went before the king of Persia to say that, can you send me to Judah so I can go rebuild the wall? He said when he got there, he was afraid, but he said, I replied anyway, because the hand of the Lord was upon me. He said he prayed immediately and he replied. And he found favor because the hand of the Lord was upon him. Throughout the chapters, anything you see him writing inside, he said, this happened because the hand of the Lord was upon me. They were not able to stop this work because the hand of the Lord was upon me. You can only walk in authority, like my sister said, when you know that the hand of the Lord is upon you. And the way to know that the hand of the Lord is upon you, or the way to have that confidence, is when you yourself, you know that you're walking with God. That's why I said this year that this is the year that we praying and fasting and talking with God and walking with Him and seeking after Him. Like my sister Jasmine said here earlier, that one of her goals for this year is a closer walk with God, closer and deeper revelation. Let God show her more of Him. It's because when you know, let me tell you, whenever I start feeling unnecessarily anxious, I start feeling, down, I feel like we will be fearful. Trust me, walking with God will be fearful. But when I feel like this extreme fear that I just don't understand, I know very well that I have taken my eyes off the Lord. Not that He has left me, He will never leave me nor forsake me. It's just that I am the one who's taken my eyes off Him. And I'm putting my trust and everything now on me. And suddenly I feel like I'm alone. And that's why I feel fearful. I feel like I'm alone. That's why I don't feel that His favor over me anymore. I feel like I'm alone. And I have to fix my gaze back on Him. Trust again and believe that He's got me in His hand. Are you distracted? Have the distraction pulled you so far away somewhere you think that you cannot? You are the one seeing that you are far gone. But guess what? He still got you in his palm, the palm of his hands. You are the one who just has to turn your eyes back and fix your gaze upon God and say, you gave me an assignment. I don't want to keep wandering. You're surely talking, but I'm not listening, because He's always talking. He's always guiding. I'm not listening. Help me, God, to sit down like Nehemiah and pray and look to you and listen to you again, so that you give me more clarity. Help me to overcome obstacles by, I'm just kind of like running through what we talk here right now. Help me to be able to look back and see what are the obstacles in my life that I'm not aware of, in my behavior, in my mindset. Maybe it's just my role or the season that I'm in. I'm in a season now where maybe I've been laid off from work. So finances will probably be one of the obstacles to some of the things that I'm doing. Maybe I'm a new mom. So maybe raising this baby may be some of the things that may hold me back a little bit. You are looking at those things and telling God to give you wisdom to plan around it. Many people think that I have to finish up with this and then our purpose is over here. Or my marriage is here, purpose is here. My kids are here, purpose is here. Me, I'm here. There's that funny thing that is going on out there. I hear it a lot. All of that is purpose. Those are just different platforms on which you are living your purpose. Before you coming out now to be intentional to start that business, trust me, you if you to even be a teacher of the word, you have already been teaching all your life in those different roles that you have been playing. So suddenly those roles don't have to be somewhere in the east, and now this is you here with purpose. Everything is inclusive. So you have to say, God, help me to see these things. Let me identify obstacles and help me to know that opposition will come. Help me to know what are the mocking obstacles so I can run to you. Help me to know the lies that the enemy is telling me, and help me to go look for the truths that will negate these lies. Open my eyes to see, the internal things that the devil is using to fight me from within, so that I can gain the wisdom on how to tackle all those things. And so that this last point of trusting that the Lord sustains you sums it all. I just came here today to encourage us that as you're stepping into this year, I know you have so much on mind. You have a lot that you want to do. You really want to have, you really want to serve God. And honestly, you want more clarity as you're doing it. And you really want to do it from a balanced place, because that's the only way that you're going to really have full joy and fulfillment. It's your desire, but then there'll be distractions that will come our way in these various forms. I hope that the example of Nehemiah, how he stayed on the walk and did everything and finished this wall in 52 days, all through giving glory to God, is because God sustained me. It's because God's hand is upon me. His hand is upon me. He was not just in la la land being all spiritual or just doing the physical work and not trusting God. He was somebody who understood it too. And what was his assignment, like I told you before? To you know, restore the security of the Jews here, bring them back to God, give them a hope. And he was able to do that. What is your purpose? And what is the vision you have? How do you think you can do it? First, you have the purpose that God has given you. Now, based on your talents, your everything, how can you, through those things, live that purpose? Ask yourself that question. And then take all these steps that Nehemiah took. And you'll see that distractions will come, you cannot. But then you'll be able to overcome. I agree with you. Pastor says here, sorry, says here, faith and wisdom. And that's why I told you people at the beginning of the year when I was doing my video on my theme for the year, I said the scripture that's backing me this year is faith without action is death, right? Faith has to be accompanied with some action. My sister, a very encouraging message. Thank you, Shanti. Thank you all so much. Thank you too for being here. I hope this was encouraging for us. And we're going to go forward this year, like I told you, sharing so much about finding clarity or finding our purpose and pursuing it with a lot of clarity and with a lot of balance, because we're supposed to not just survive, but we should thrive, we should bloom, and we should flourish in our everyday life. It's my desire for you. And so if you're new here and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, support this channel by subscribing and be a part of it also, because you're going to really grow. And like, share this video, let other people know the great work that God is doing here on Shanti Bloom. Anybody you know is lost, who feels stuck, who feels like it's over with them, even if you've succumbed to distraction and you're miles and miles and miles away, God, our God, you're not too far gone. There is no way you can go so far that He cannot reach you and He cannot pull you back, and you cannot still come back and start that work and finish it. You are still able to start that work and finish it. Do not, maybe the lie, maybe one of the obstacles for you now is that lie that I already blew it. I already messed it up so much. Where can I start from? How can I even, begin it? Maybe your own lie is that there is no hope. There is no hope. That those are all lies. Look into God's word, you will see the truth that negates the fact that there is hope, right? That there is no hope. There's a truth telling you that there is a hope. There's a truth telling you that our God is a God of second chances. Our God is a God that restores all the years that the cankerworm has destroyed. So this is my word of encouragement to you. Like it, share this video to somebody else. And thank you all so much for being here. And keep coming up in every Saturday, as I'm going to share with you many more great things as we practical steps, principles that we can apply in our lives. We can bloom and flourish in our everyday life. I appreciate you all who have been here today. Thank you, Sis Priscilla, and Sis, thank you for this. Thank you also for being here. Thank you all so much. I'm sure that I saw you all, recognize you all who were here. If I am just kind of scrolling through everything, if I skipped or missed anybody, I still appreciate you greatly for being here today. Have a great, great Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and start your week on a higher level. Thank you all.